North Korean people really believe the propaganda from the regime? How did they become modern-day slaves? This is the most common question that people around me, around the world have asked me. The propaganda starts from age 4, and we learn the dictator's name first before we learn our parents' name. So, because we cannot simply say the dictator's name without putting any specific titles, we have to put something titles behind it. And we cannot even fold newspapers because the dictator's images appears every day on the newspaper. So in North Korea, in every public schools and buildings, and even in our home, we must hang the pictures on the wall. So I still remember that whenever I received a gift from my parents, I never really thanked them. Instead, I bought to their pictures because I believed all the good things from the dear leaders because he was God. When I was a young girl, when we had a big fire, and our father did not check to see if we were okay, but instead he immediately ran back inside the room and risked his life to save our most important possessions. Portraits of 2 dictators. If he failed to save them, he would have been punished, but he was praised, not for rescuing his own children, but to saving the images of our dear leaders. Nobody, including myself, thought this was strange, nor was it strange to see the government officials with white gloves would come to every house and checked the dust on the pictures. But after I escaped the country, I realized that these are only a small examples of how North Koreans are tragically oppressed and brainwashed. Speaking out against the regime is also unthinkable. Like my friend's father, he simply said to his best friend, "This system is unfair." And the whole entire family disappeared in the middle of the night. So they are just one of many family members was sent to political prison camp where over 500,000 people are continuing to suffer to forced labor, torture, and death. I also didn't know that even young children are forced to watch public execution. So I saw first one at age 7 when a man was hanging by his neck under a bridge. And I also saw the other public execution during the famine when the authorities shot a man in his head in front of his family. So the public executions are a powerful way to remind the people that we shouldn't do anything against the government. But the biggest killer in North Korea was starvation, which has killed more than 1 million people from mid to early 2000. So during the famine, if we go under the bridge or near the train station, we could easily see those dead bodies. And sometimes the bodies weren't removed, so the smells of decomposing flesh were everywhere. At the time, I didn't know that the reason we were suffering because of our government failed system, but I believed the regime's propaganda that the only reason we were suffering because of American sanctions. Since I was living right next to the border between China, and China was the only country I could compare with my own. And when I was a high school student, I started watching Chinese TV secretly at night by covering the windows with thick extra blankets to prevent light. And from Chinese TV, I found out that they are much more economically developed than my country, and I realized that my country may be not the best in the world. So the bigger curiosity and attraction about the outside world eventually led me to take bold steps to cross the border into China. But as a young, naive girl, I could have never imagined that I would be separated from my family for so long, nor could I have even realized that I would be separated, that I have to avoid the brilliant new world in China and live in the shadows. I was hunted by the Chinese authorities all the time, simply because I was North Korean. And I was even captured by the Chinese authorities. And I was narrowly avoided being repatriated to North Korea by convincing them that I was actually a Chinese citizen. Because at the time, my Chinese language abilities were good enough to answer those difficult questions and pass their interrogation. So due to all the dangers surrounding me, that I had to change my name so many times to protect my identity and to not being repatriated to North Korea. That's why I became the girl with the 7 names, which is the title of my memoir. Living North Korea is not like living another country. It's more like living another universe. I will never truly be free of its gravity, no matter how far I journey. On the outside, I might look normal, but on the inside, I am suffering from unspeakable pain. For me to enjoy these freedoms, I paid enormous price. I lost all my relatives and friends, and I had been separated from my family for 14 years, and I left behind my 17 years of my memories. Yet the pain stays with me wherever I go, but I still feel I'm very fortunate that I was able to escape my country while millions of other countrymen live inside virtual prison and die without ever knowing about the truth, freedom, or human rights. Also, countless North Korean women are sold as sex slaves and trafficked brides in China to men, where gender imbalance has driven up the demand for women. After I escaped China, I also escaped arranged marriage when I was 19, because we, as defectors, when we cross the border into China, we don't know where to go, and we don't know how to speak Chinese. So the only people waiting for them are human traffickers. So I'm currently rescuing 2 female defectors who are forced to strip naked and serve to many men every day by sending field workers undercover posing as customers. I have some video clips of this despicable situation, which is too horrible to show too publicly, but I will show you some screenshots. And from here, I rescued one woman. She is 26 years old this year. When she was 15, she was sold to a 67 years old man, and she gave birth a child. And this man sold her to another man in his 50s who had masochistic pleasure of abusing her. So she gave birth another child to his child. Fortunately, she's right now waiting at the safe house near the border town in China, and we will transport her out of China, eventually to United States, where she wants to live. And we will also transport another trafficked bride who became disabled after trying to jump out of her apartment to end her life. 2 weeks ago, when I was in Korea, I had a video chat with her because she was in a safe house in China, and she was crying, and she told me that she now regrets about her attempted suicide. Because in the past, she could have never imagined that she could go to South Korea today. She thought her life would end in China. There are so many victims in China right now. So I want to break through, which is why I started NGO that will focus on rescuing these sex slaves and trafficked brides. The world right now are paying increasing attention to sex trafficking issues around the world, but not enough people are paying attention to North Korean sex slaves. So many more of these women need to be saved. So on their behalf, I'm asking for your help and give a hope to many North Korean women who are crying out. Thank you for listening.